Hi guys. While in fact, all of my videos are meant toward the population as a whole, I think I'm going to start doing certain videos that address certain specific populations. So in today's video, I'm going to read something I wrote, which is an open letter to American patriots. So first, let me say, I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. At this point, all who love America and honor our Constitution must stand together to protect and defend that which we hold dear. There are certain groups among us who are doing everything in their power to destroy our democracy, trample our Constitution, and crush our nation. If we fail to stop them at this point, we lose everything. Our freedom, our nation, maybe even our lives. There's no longer time for infighting. We must stand together now, all of us, in defense of the only thing some of us have in common, which is a love of this nation. And we must understand, what we allow to happen to others at some point will happen to us as well. We have to live in the society that we create. If we allow injustice towards others, at some point we will also be afflicted by such. This is the basis of the golden rule, the one command Jesus gave. Do not do unto another that which you would not want another to do unto you. And the same rule is in the Old Testament. It's the same thing. And I've even heard some rabbis say that that's the entire basis of the Old Testament, the entire Torah, right? So you don't have to be Christian to understand that. That said, concerning the crime that we nowadays call organized stalking or gang stalking, how would you like to live in a world where someone else has full control over every aspect of your life, including your home, your private affairs, and even your body? This powerful group is conquering you, and they're letting you know it's happening. But law enforcement officials refuse to help, and the law will not even let you fight it back in your own defense, or even in defense of your family. These vermin who are infesting your life let you know that they have full access to you, your home, your body, 24/7, and there's nothing you can do about it. They illegally enter your home and open a window, move things around, tilt a picture on the wall, or steal something insignificant for you to find missing, something that you will notice is gone, but that is so unimportant that when you report it to the cops will think you've gone mad. Who, after all, would break into your home just to take toilet paper off the roll, remove half of it, and then place the remainder of the roll back on this, and then place the remainder of the roll on the sink counter? These invaders are letting you know that they have access to your home, can enter whenever they desire, do whatever they want, tamper with whatever they want, even place cameras and recorders so that they can both watch and listen to you whenever they want, even in the bathroom. And they're letting you know that there's nothing that you can do about it. See, they're doing this and they're boasting about it, letting you know that with a full understanding that you will have no way to fight back. But you're human, and instinct is to fight back, to protect yourself and your territory. And so when you begin to break down and show signs of agitation, they use that against you as well. In fact, they have people intentionally provoke you when you're out, just for that purpose. They have people follow you around, trying to set you up on false charges or entrap you in a situation where you look guilty but you aren't. Their smear campaign against you ensures that when you try to tell people what is taking place, you are not taken seriously. People have been led to believe that you're either mentally ill, violent, or both. You are lied about, slandered, and defamed, but you're never allowed your constitutional right to a defense. These anti-American traitors hate our Constitution almost as much as they hate a free human race. Their refusal to allow you a defense or even to speak on your own behalf ensures that the lies will continue to be believed. After all, when the only side that people hear is the side of your accusers, you will appear guilty indefinitely. This is then used to recruit the masses into the campaign against you. The masses then begin to follow you around and report your every move to the psychopaths who are waging this sick, perverse war against you. This enables the psychos to track you wherever you go, as there will always be some useful idiot ready and willing to join in a massive campaign against a lone target that he or she barely knows or doesn't know at all. Although sometimes they will even recruit people that you do know. Talk about traitors, right? At some point they have their hired lackeys or the masses of perpetrators who they have recruited make comments to you or have certain conversations in earshot so that you can hear what they're saying. And these conversations usually pertain to something you said or did in private. In some cases repeating word for word what you said to someone at home that morning or the night before or so on. Or they'll recite your entire online shopping list, letting you know they have access to your online communications and transactions as well. They will also have their perpetrators make gestures that they will repeat over and over again, the same gestures, different perpetrators, in order to sensitize you to the specific gesture so that they no longer have to do much in order to provoke you in public. All they have to do is order their perpetrators to make the gesture, and you know it's them, again, still there following you around. You become angry, and everyone around you who isn't working for the organized stalkers believes you became angry over nothing, which makes you look mentally unstable. You are under 24/7 surveillance and attack, and have no place to take shelter, as even your home has been infested by the vermin perpetrators. You have no rest at all. There's no place where you can feel comfortable or even have a break. Everything you own can be tampered with. Your online communications are being monitored, as are your landline calls. You are being watched and listened to in private, and a life-destroying smear campaign is being waged against you. Every aspect of your life is being destroyed by these vermin, and the lies they tell the masses about you are driving you out of society. They tap, pound, and drill on the ceiling and the walls, on and off, day and night, to wear you down and drive you insane, until you start screaming and pounding back, at which point they report you again. And I'm just going to add this, I didn't write it, but at this point, that I think the whole purpose is to give you the feeling of being infested, of being invaded. Imagine someone who's being swarmed by insects, running around and screaming and swatting at them, okay? That's the sensation they intend to give. Okay, it's a psychological attack on every level, to break you down to just to nothing. They bait and then force a response out of you over and over again, taking up the intensity of their attacks until you finally break down and respond. Then they report you for your response. They have people track you wherever you go and even put GPS trackers in your vehicle so they can continue this type of attack no matter where you are, and with every new group of people you might come in contact with. They do this until you break down mentally, psychologically, and even spiritually, and possibly attack someone, thus getting yourself thrown in prison. Or until you go so screaming mad that you end up in a mental ward or commit suicide. Tell me, is this what you would call freedom? Is this the kind of world you want to live in, or to leave for future generations? This is what targets of organized stalking go through on a daily basis. This is similar to the FBI's former COINTELPRO or counterintelligence program waged against civil rights activists. It's also similar to the type of warfare that the Stasi used against opposition to communism in East Germany. That attack was later termed Zersetzung, meaning total destruction of a person on every level. Worse, there also appears to be an element of MK Ultra thrown in as well, as this is starting to seem like an experiment of some sort. Whatever this is, if it isn't stopped, it will lead to the complete destruction of the human race as we know it. Whoever is running this program is trying to get humanity used to a life without privacy and thus without freedom. An existence in which nothing is really yours, not even your body, as they also tend to poison food and water and interfere with any medical treatment you might seek out. And if they can even watch you wiping your ass on the toilet, tell me, is your body really yours? This is a society similar to that which Orwell wrote about in his book 1984, and it's quickly approaching. And for some of us, it's already here. So in the end, what happens to targets of this type of attack? After being years of covertly hunted, stalked, and terrorized, and without being able to prove it, and without being able to really fight back and get at the monsters who are attacking, they begin to understand that online trolls can't possibly be responsible for all of this. They are being attacked by something much more powerful. At first they fight it. They kick, scream, go crazy, and because they can't get at the vermin who are actually attacking them and the perpetrators attack in public, some of the targets just end up screaming mad, clawing at the air, clawing at themselves, pounding the walls, okay? Especially when they are made aware that they are being watched and listened to in their own home, but can't do a damn thing about it. And if they don't end up in prison for breaking down and physically attacking the perpetrators, they either commit suicide or die due to the consequences of this type of attack, such as being run out of society by the masses who have been lied to about them but don't even bother to get the facts, right? These people who clearly don't understand our Constitution or they hate our Constitution because, you'd think even a convicted criminal is allowed a defense, isn't he or she? But the masses, they'll run out of society someone that they've been warned about without even hearing that person's side. Okay, or they'll have, uh, or they'll die from it. Let's see, they can die from being run out of society. What else? Let me see. From having their medical care interfered with. Okay, or possibly even, getting killed by an overzealous perpetrator who is desperate for approval from the dominant authority and will thus go overboard when attacking his or her fellow Americans. Okay, so this is not benign. This leads to, in many cases, the deaths of the targets. Okay, and many targets have already died of this. They've died on the streets. They've died, of poverty, of losing their home, their job, being run out of society, not being able to get medical care, not being able to even go to a store and get the food they need. Okay, and then being attacked when they're homeless and, have no shelter. This is a deadly, deadly thing. This is murder. But aside from that, there is one more possibility for the targets, and that is they simply learn to live like owned, tagged, defiled animals. They learn to live like cattle. No privacy, no freedom, no real property that belongs to them, because even if they own something, that can still be tampered with and invaded and by whoever's running this. Okay? Everything can be tampered with and even taken away. They have no right to their own bodies, right? Targets, both male and female, have been tagged like cattle, poisoned, drugged, raped, watched in private, even in the bathroom and so on. And of course, they have no right they're not even given any right to defend themselves against this. I still believe that this program is a trial run for the end times system where no one will be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast or without worshiping the beast or his image. The masses are used against targets in order to first and foremost help the psychopathic monsters running this program track the target's every move, and finally to run the targets out of society. I believe that right now this is a social experiment to see how well such a thing will work. But there could be another reason as well, and that is to get the population used to living like this, desensitize them to this. So they just get used to it because what else can they do? The worst outcome is that the targets, in order to carry on living, begin to block out even the most extreme provocations, right? Even the provocations that let them know they're being watched in private, okay? And eventually get used to this type of subsistence that they have to in order to live, to remain somewhat psychologically intact. This might be the end goal in total population control, to get the population just so broken down and demoralized and desensitized to this that they just learn to accept it. Though the targets who do end up breaking down and striking back with physical violence also help to create this end goal, as it then becomes yet another excuse for the ruling elite to disarm the American population. Whoever is doing this would obviously benefit from an unarmed population, and the more mass shootings there are, the closer we come to complete disarmament of the population. The ruling elite really do want to get humanity used to this type of subsistence. No privacy, no freedom, no right to ownership over anything because anything you own can be tampered with, defiled, and even taken, okay? Not even the ownership or right of your own body, right? As the rulers have access to everything we have, everything we own, and everything we are. They take possession of every aspect of us and let us know it in every way they can. And of course, no right to self-defense, nor any right to even defend our own family. And this is particularly horrible in the case of people who have children. They can't even defend their own kids, right? Imagine some vile piece of garbage puts a teenage girl or boy into this program for whatever reason, okay? And now all of these sick, depraved animals in human flesh who at this point just love their vile job follow the teenager around, recording his or her every move, and even try to access her private quarters. And her parents aren't even allowed to protect her, since this is being done apparently under the guise of a legitimate investigation, though it's being done covertly. They're not even informed of it, right? Because no one will mention to the family what is taking place or why, but they see it happening. In fact, they're called crazy when they try to report it, and then they get a record. They get called mentally ill, which could result in their own right to self-defense being taken away, while the real criminals are given all the weapons they need. Right? Even if the family, the victims have footage of these sick animals practically shoving a camera into the teenager's bedroom window, the law enforcement still will not believe them. Because they're being lied to. Someone is getting them to go along with this. Someone is telling them that this is a legitimate investigation when clearly it isn't. The cops refuse to help, and the parents aren't allowed to help, as any action they take against the vermin hunting their kid will be seen as a crime on their part, since they can't prove that any criminal act is being committed. We've been heading to this point for years, as there have already been cases of men and women thrown in prison for defending themselves against an attacker. One guy was sent to prison for shooting at a criminal who broke into his home. The guy was defending his home and his family, yet he was sent to prison for shooting at a home invader when his family was at home, okay? And get this, he didn't even kill the invader. The intruder didn't die, yet he was still charged criminally. Okay, you can't even protect your family anymore. The red flag laws that are being passed now will take this type of injustice to a whole other level. These laws will only ever disarm the victims of serious crime, as well as noble men and women who actually want to protect the innocent. This is especially true in cases where the crime involves covert psychological warfare and gaslighting. Okay, covert stalking, for example. As it is the victims of this type of warfare who end up breaking down in public and thus appear unstable, while the psychopaths abusing them in such ways appear to be upright, well-integrated members of society. And the perpetrators they hire, who enjoy gathering in a group to attack lone, easy targets, also look well-adjusted. After all, what do they have to fear? These pathetic cowards are in a large herd waging war against some lone nobody who has no way of fighting back. These worthless little animals are indulging in their primal nature to hunt and destroy, but without any real risk to their own lives. At least they believe there's no risk, given how outgeared, outnumbered, out-resourced their targets are. No, it's the targets who begin to break down. And that is the whole point. Whoever is running this program sends the perpetrators out to provoke the targets over and over again until the targets begin to break down in public, at which point they report the targets. And this is how targets are neutralized, right? They neutralize us in this manner, and it can be they can do this to they do this to whistleblowers, to anyone who opposes the current regime, to anyone whose political views are unpopular, okay, or someone that they believe actually might have some influence and might even be a threat to the current order, okay. Anyway, the anti-American psychopaths running this program are trying to condition all of us into accepting this. First, the hired perps will deny they're following you. And they'll deny they're getting instructions from someone else, and, and they'll deny getting instructions from someone else on how to interact with you, meaning making certain comments or gestures, or what to say near you. But then, when they can no longer deny that this is taking place, and at some point a time comes where the truth comes out and they can no longer deny that aspect of it, then they'll just defend it, right? Then they'll twist it right back onto you and claim that you should just get used to it. After all, if you're not doing anything wrong, they say, why would you care? And that is the point. These useful idiots are being manipulated into ushering in a complete and total police state, where no one has any privacy or freedom, and anyone can be turned into a target for any reason, at which point the masses will be set against them like a pack of wild jackals. And they want us to get used to this. This is the kind of society they're trying to create. They're trying to make this normal. And what will be the next step? With modern technology as it is, and brain-to-computer interface, a reality, can you imagine? Next, the rulers will have their useful idiots spouting out that if we aren't thinking anything wrong, why would we care if they can hack our mind and read our thoughts? Folks, that might sound crazy, but it is coming. Every step of the way, they deny it. Okay, they deny what people say is happening. And when it can no longer be denied, then they find a way to justify it, excuse it, and normalize it. Don't get used to it. Help us fight it. Stand with us now in defense of our freedom, our democracy, our nation. But now, a word to the individuals who took jobs such as this and regret it. We need whistleblowers. We need people who have gotten involved in this program unaware initially of what it was, to make this known to the public. And I know there are some of you who really are innocent. You got involved in this. You weren't aware of what it entailed. And now you are aware of it and you know it's wrong, okay? Those who have proof of the instructions they are getting regarding their interactions with targets, usually in the form of text or email, we need them to release that to the public. Look, I know there are probably some people who got involved in this thinking they were going to be real heroes, crime fighters tracking and stopping a real threat, and now they understand that this is clearly not the case. But they're afraid to stop. They're afraid to leave. Ladies and gentlemen, we need you to stand up now, be brave, and do what you set out to do in the beginning, to fight against the real threat. Yes, that will be much harder than joining the real threat in a massive group against a lone, defenseless target. But if you really took this gig with the desire to be a hero, then we need you to stand up and be that hero now. Instead of continuing to fight an honorless fight, it's like stepping on an ant, what you're doing now. Okay, we need you to fight the real threat, not just for the sake of an individual target or even this nation, but for humanity as a whole, because this is happening all over the world. We as a species are on the cusp of losing every last bit of freedom and every last right we've ever had. And the current targets of this are being hunted unto the ends of the earth, surveilled 24/7 on and offline, and are typically alone without gear, resources, and numbers to back them up. And of course, getting proof of what is taking place is difficult, especially when most of us have already been defamed to such an extent that no one will take us seriously. But those of you who have been involved in this program have everything you need at your fingertips. You have the gear, resources, numbers, and evidence that the lone targets will never be able to get their hands on. It isn't fair to expect us on our own, with limited resources, to find a way to stop this program when you have access to everything necessary to make this public right now. To be targeted in this manner is like David without his slingshot against thousands of Goliaths. You are standing with the Goliaths. You have inside knowledge and you have their power. Don't make the lone, unarmed, disempowered targets stand defenseless before such a massive threat they have no chance of fighting alone, when you have all of the power, the weapons, the gear, the numbers, and the proof. You don't just have a chance of exposing this. You could expose this literally now. You could do it right now. As for the rest of you who aren't involved in this, I simply wanted to make you aware of what is taking place, that someone could try to use you against your own fellow American citizens. Okay, people are being falsely accused, and community members are being recruited into these programs against them. I still don't know for sure who is running this. And of course, I'm not 100% sure why they're doing it. I have my ideas, but you can't really ever be 100% sure when it comes to something like this. Although in the past I thought I knew who put me into this program, I've become less and less sure of that with each new provocation, as there is a lot of misdirection. I wish I had more answers for you, and I'm hoping to learn more in the future. Until then, I ask that at the very least you refrain from going along with any program or even job offer that requires you to engage with unwitting and probably unwilling participants in ways that seem strange, especially if you are expected to follow people around, track their location or their attire, what they're wearing, right, any identifying information, and send that information to another source. Do not create a society in which no one can trust those around them, where everyone can be a spy, a snitch, or create a possible entrapment scenario in order to set up other people on false charges, or to provoke people to break down just so that they can report them for breaking down. Do not create a society where trust in our neighbors, friends, and even family has been so thoroughly destroyed that the only entity people have faith in is Big Brother.